everyone, it's Vicky here. I want to tell you today something very personal, and it's about how I've become the person I am today and how I've become a strong person. Some of you may have known when we had the channel up, the Women's Circle of Love, that I talked about my dad. For those that are out there and are new subscribers, because I've now got just over 100 subscribers, which I want to say thank you to everyone that subscribed. You may not know the story of my dad. Well, my dad passed away when I was 13, on the 11th of December 2001. No, the 11th of December 2000, so it was 12 years ago. It'll be 12 years this year. I'd say I was very close to finding him. Basically what happened is our whole class got kept behind from school for one person being an idiot, so the whole class got detention and we were kept back half an hour, which meant we missed our buses and lifts and that. So basically I got told by my dad in the morning, if you're late in the morning then I will drive off and go home, because I'm always late out of school, and he had to pick up my mum and sort things out, which I thought he had to pick up my mum and that. But so I got out of school and I said to my friends, my dad should be picking me up, we'll get a lift. So we went to where my dad had picked me up and he wasn't there. Now my mobile phone at the time was one of those really old mobile phones, those big old Nokia things, and I had no credit on my phone, so I couldn't phone him. I had no money to use a payphone. So we basically all decided we'd just walk. So because it was about, I'd say, a 20-minute walk from the school to my house, 20-30 minutes, we all walked. By the time I got about 5 minutes away, I started getting really upset and really worried, like something had happened, or that I was going to get really yelled at, and I started crying as I was walking home. So my friend was coming to the house with me to explain what had gone on. And we got to the house, and my dog was in the back garden and could hear her barking, and the whole house was in darkness. There was no lights on, his car was still outside, and I got really upset by this time. I tried putting my key in the door to unlock the door, but it wouldn't open. I had to go to one of my neighbours to phone my mum, but she'd already left work. I explained the situation to them. They all came, they called the police, but the police hadn't turned up by the time my mum had got home. She'd got out, given my neighbours the keys to the house, which they managed to open the door with the keys, whereas my key wouldn't open the door. They went in the house and they found him. Basically what had happened is he'd been working nights the previous night, so after taking me to school in the morning, he came home, he had a cup of tea, he got all the washing out and the ironing, set it up, and went up to bed and never woke up again. And that morning, before he took me to school, we actually had an argument over something really stupid, and so that's something I've always regretted. And it took me a long time to get over it. So why I wanted to tell people this, because there's probably kids going through a similar situation of losing a parent at a young age, and it is hard. I've got to be honest, it is the hardest thing I think I will have ever gone through in my life, ever. I reverted back to younger age, where at 13 most of my friends were after makeup and music, and because it was so close to Christmas, I just wanted dolls. I wanted dolls and all sorts of stuff like that. I became a very angry person, extremely angry. I was always snapping at people in school. I tried keeping myself to myself, and that side of things wasn't good. I did stay with a few of my friends, but a few of them I really just told them to go away because they kept telling me all the time, "Are you alright? Are you alright?" And I was getting a bit fed up with that, because that is one thing that drove me insane, is everyone coming up to you all the time saying, "Are you alright? Do you need anything?" That drove me insane. Then plus, because then it became just me and my mum in the house, I had to support my mum, and it panicked me when my mum went to bed. So I used to get up about 5 o'clock in the morning, have to wake her up in the morning to make sure she was awake. I couldn't go to the house if it was in darkness. I used to freak out going into my mum's room. So it was like the hardest experience I've ever gone through. But from that experience, it did take me a few years to actually come to terms with things. I blamed myself a lot of the time. I actually thought because they had to do a post-mortem because it was a sudden death. They always do a post-mortem with a sudden death to find out the cause of death. Before we actually knew the proper cause, I was convinced because we had an argument in the morning that I caused him to have a heart attack and die. And that threw me off until we got the post-mortem results, and then I was still convinced after that I'd caused him to die because he'd had an aneurysm in the brain, which is like a bubble in one of the blood vessels. Even if it's found on a scan, it's very hard to treat. Sometimes it can't be done without surgery, and sometimes the surgery can't even help that. So if they had found it, they said they wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. It would have just been a ticking time bomb. But it's like a blood vessel in the brain, and it swells up, and then it just pops, and then there's a bleed on the brain. If he'd have been found and then treated, he probably would have been brain damaged anyway, which is sad, and I would have been without my dad in the first place anyway, if that makes sense to anyone out there. So I was still convinced for a while after that I got him angry and then caused this aneurysm. I learned that it wasn't me. It took me a while to come to terms that I knew it wasn't me. It was just something that couldn't be helped. But it took me a few years to actually come to terms with the fact that he wasn't there no more. It still freaks me out and upsets me when I think if I get married, he's not going to be there to walk me down the aisle. If I have kids, he's not going to be there. But in some ways, I do feel as though he's always here with me. Like he's my guardian angel. Like he's always right there to look after me. And I find that when I go to my mum's house, that he's always there still. And little signs that he's there, like the day he died, when I got to the house, the hot water tap was running in our bathroom, and I could hear it from the garden because I managed to get into the garden where my dog was, and I could hear the water running. And every time I go into the house, the hot water turns on, and that to me is a sign that my dad is there still watching over us. A few weeks after he died, I went to the shops with my mum. At his funeral, we had two certain songs played, one entering the crematorium and one leaving. And that was... I don't listen to those songs no more because it just takes me back there. And we went into this shop about 2 weeks after the funeral, and those two songs came on as soon as we walked into the shop, one after another, which kind of gave us a sign that he was still with us. When we went to spread his ashes, the same thing happened again. We could smell his aftershave. Sounds daft, we could hear someone farting, which my dad always used to do, which was, we made a little joke out of that, but we could hear those sort of noises around the house. My dog at the time used to sit and watch up the stairs as if someone was up there. But so my advice to kids going through what I went through, it does get better and it does get easier, but you always have that pain. Now and again it does come back with a vengeance, which it's going to do, because losing someone young is not a good thing. But it does make you stronger. It's like me. I've been determined to take every day as it's my last, and to tell every person that I care about how much I love them and how much I care about them every day. I feel as though my whole attitude to things has got bigger and better, and I do feel a lot stronger than I did, say, 10 years ago. But so this is just my little video. I felt like a little rant, and I hope you don't mind me talking about this because it's been on my mind all day. If there are people going through what I went through, please message me and I will give as much advice I can to all of you out there. Different ways of coping, things that I used to do to cope. I mean, like with me, I don't go that much to the cemetery to see my dad's grave, because I find it too real if I go there. And I realise that he's not there. That is just a box. My dad is not in this box. He is with me all the time here. So if I need him, I know he's right with me all the time, and that's all I need to know. So I don't go to, people may think I'm stupid, but I can't go to the cemetery, sit there and talk to a stone, because that's not where my dad is. My dad is here and he's with me all the time. So if anyone disagrees with that, then I don't really bloody care. But if like I said, if anyone is going through what I went through, and they need some advice or someone to talk to, or to know different ways of coping, message me, comment, or do videos. It's up to you. Bless it be.